Welcome, dear listeners. I'm Jonathan Carlin.
And I'm Benjamin Carlin.
And we invite you to join us through the Griffin door, your one-way ticket to the enchanting world of Harry Potter. So grab your wands and dust off your broomsticks and join us as we unlock the riddles inside Goblet of Fire, Chapter 16, The Goblet of Fire.
What? It's the title chapter.
It is the title chapter. Oh, man. And what a turning point it is for the entire wizarding world, you know?
It really is.
It's a big day.
Like a lot of very important things for Voldemort's plan.
Yeah.
Taking place.
Like he might have, can you imagine if this just hadn't worked? You know, it's like, and there we go. And Cedric Diggory and the goblet's out. Barty Crouch is like, oh no.
What does he do at that point in time? Does he just be like,
crap.
That's it. Like he just like throws the leg on the ground and leaves.
He's just like, let me get up my quill. Master, complete success. Harry's in the tournament. I've done it. I'm amazing. Don't let any newspaper. You can't trust Rita Skeeter, you know.
You can't. You truly can't. By the way, I will be in hiding.
Yeah, if you need me, don't come looking. I'm deep. I'm so deep undercover, bro.
I have polyjuiced into Mad Eye Moody, and then as Mad Eye Moody, polyjuiced into someone else.
Yes.
Florian Fortescue.
I'll be running an ice cream shop. Not sure why I'm telling you this, because you're who I'm hiding from, but actually, I'm neither of those people.
Whoa. I'm setting you down the wrong path. But poor Florian Fortescue.
Just taking a stray bullet.
He's doomed.
He is doomed.
Oh, man.
Yeah. While Florian's serving up goblets of ice cream, today's chapter is serving up a goblet of fire. So let's start with the chapter art as usual, which I love.
I do too. Yes. I mean, this is a depiction of the Goblet of Fire in a exactly as described by the book itself.
Which
is what we're looking for. It's sort of like a kind of unimpressive hand carved wooden cup.
It's like an Indiana Jones when he has to go get the Holy Grail, and it's just like, oh, there's all these fancy cups. Nah, it's just this wooden one.
It's just this one.
It's just a humble cup.
It just doesn't look like much.
It doesn't. It's just yet another thing that the movies get wrong about Goblet of Fire, which is such a long list. No one ever includes that they got the Goblet of Fire wrong, probably because the one in the movie does look fairly impressive and cool. But you know what? It's wrong. It should be wooden.
It should be. That's like part of the problem is that it's a wooden cup that produces flames.
Yeah. It's like what stone cup producing flames? That's believable. Wooden cup not burning whilst on fire. What's wrong with that cup?
That's mighty interesting.
Exactly.
There's something different about that cup. I can tell you
that's
that
a powerfully magical artifact, I'll tell you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. So anyway, HBO series, if you want to get it right, hand carved wooden cup. And I think the right thing to do would just be to go pick up a piece of wood and a pocket knife and find a production assistant and hand it to them and be like, make a cup.
Do it. I'll come back in 4 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Start
now.
The correct cup is just whatever it looks like when you're done.
We will talk about the chapter, but as there is big HBO TV series news.
There is indeed.
There is that they have cast Dumbledore. As far as I know, the first confirmed cast member.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and what I was told today by production manager Kat is that he has announced that he was offered the job and has accepted it, but the final signature hasn't been put pen to page yet.
Okay. So maybe not official, but like 99% of the way there.
Yes. John Lithgow.
John Lithgow cast as Dumbledore, which is big for a couple of reasons, not the least of which is he's not British. Which is fascinating because that was as far as the original film series went, a key component of the casting process was that everybody needed to be like proper country of origin. Yeah.
And, so everybody is British as far as I know. Maybe,
yes.
I wonder, I don't know the origination point for like someone like Victor Crumb or Fleur Delacour.
Right. Yeah. Sure. Do they need to be French or like from their place?
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, this it kind of blows a hole right in the side of what casting can be.
It does, because it's suddenly the whole world is open.
Yes.
Now as to what the casting can look like. And Despite being American, what do you think of John Lithgow as Dumbledore, as a decision?
I have seen him play some drastically like diverse roles. Like he is notably in the TV show Dexter, where he is like terrifying.
Right.
And then he's also like in Shrek as
Lord Farquaad.
Yeah. So it's like,
right.
You know, the range there as somebody who could just be like kind of like goofy and polite, or like kind of intimidating and scary. Like those are attributes that I actually think, like whenever I go back to the film series, I've always been kind of like a Richard Harris stan myself. Like I feel like the Chamber of Secrets and Sorcerer's Stone depictions of Dumbledore fit most closely with what I mentally imagined.
Yeah.
And I think Michael Gambon, you know, brought like a lot of interesting characteristics to Dumbledore's character. And the notable divide there is that I've never been able to mentally picture Richard Harris doing the scene in the cave with the Inferno. Like it almost needed to be Michael Gambon for that. So the reason I bring up those details is because I feel like the roles I've seen John Lithgow do make me believe he can do both.
He's got the range.
He's got the range.
Yeah.
He can be intense. He can have the fire in his eyes, but he can also be the man who is like calm and kind and informative and those types of things, which is what, you know, we expect from Dumbledore.
All right.
How do you feel? I talked a lot.
It is so surprising to me. I was like, John Lithgow? Okay.
It blew my mind.
I know. Like, I think in my mind, I usually just think of him as like a comedy person.
Sure.
Like he's in like How I Met Your Mother, and then I think he started on like Third Rock from the Sun.
Okay.
Like a very old family sitcom.
Okay.
Where he is the I guess the quote unquote patriarch of a family of aliens who are posing as humans on Earth and learning their customs.
Nice.
Yeah. But it's I do think it was really funny, and I loved it in like Shrek and everything. And I haven't seen Dexter, but I think it's good. I think I'm like, yes, let's do it. Let's go. I think it looks that's a great choice.
Yes, and the other thing I think to keep in mind about Dumbledore is that like because he is so stoic most of the time, that like I think it does bring like an interesting challenge to anybody who's depicting the character for like start of term feasts or for delivering Harry to the Dursleys. You know, it's like you don't get a lot to do with the character in those scenes other than kind of be still.
Yeah.
And then
he doesn't have a lot of action in the first few movies.
Right. So we won't really see him like ramp up a whole heck of a lot. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for what the series will hold.
I know. Yeah. So it's like now, like moves are starting to happen.
Hopefully this ages well.
Hopefully, I know people are just like, wow, Lithgow stunk as Dumbledore.
Yeah, it's like 2030 and people are listening to this and they're like,
well, y'all. Anyway, let's talk about the chapter.
Let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that. So, coming off the heels of the last chapter, the Beauxbaton and Durmstrang students have just arrived, and Ron has spotted Durmstrang's star student, Victor Krum. What?
I don't believe it, Ron said in a stunned voice as the Hogwarts students filed back up the steps of the party from Durmstrang. Krum, Harry! Victor Krum!
For heaven's sake, Ron, he's only a Quidditch player.
Only a Quidditch player?
Only a Quidditch player.
Hermione, he's one of the best seekers in the world.
It is like this is so annoying because like Hermione was at the Quidditch World Cup. Like she saw him.
It's like Hermione, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
No matter how you slice it.
I know.
This is a big deal.
This is a big deal, right?
Yeah,
he's only a Quidditch player. Like, I mean, it's just, like he was in the top box. Only a Quidditch player. It's silly to me because like you don't have to like even watch basketball to know that like, oh my God, Michael Jordan, what? You know,
exactly.
LeBron James is here. Oh my gosh, you know?
Yes.
That's effectively who showed up. This would be like LeBron James just showed up to compete in the high school tournament.
Right. That's true. Yes, that's true. It's
not a basketball tournament, but you're like, oh my gosh.
I want to see whatever he does.
Yeah.
Is he good at magic?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I do think it's impressive though that Krum has such a massive reputation for as young as he is.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, try to think about that. I mean, and again, if you want to use the LeBron James example, he was a very big deal because he was recruited to the NBA out of high school, which can't even happen anymore. I don't think you have to have at least 1 year of college play. Anyway, not the point, but the point is that like, this is somebody who has gotten so good so fast that by the age of 18, where they can't possibly have more than maybe like a couple years of professional play. Like, he must be really good.
I know. He's got to be so good.
Yeah.
I mean, he was at the top level. He was on the World Cup team, and he effectively the star. He caught the snitch.
Caught the snitch at the highest level.
I mean, bad move overall strategically, I would say, but whatever.
Well, whatever. Yeah. The thing I really think we need to point out here, though, is that there's a really big sentiment that I feel like Hermione's going to express later, that the entire point of the Triwizard Tournament is this like international relations aspect. It's like while there's a competition, it's like we're also merging cultures and getting familiar with people from different places and you know, different styles of magic and whatever. Like, you know, that's the actual point of the Triwizard Tournament.
Yeah.
And eventually I think that Hermione is like going to grasp this so much better than Ron will, which, you know, is not exactly crazy shocking, just giving their abilities to read situations. But Hermione, for this whole chapter, is going to be a bit like intense about the arrival of these new students.
She absolutely, it's like a very unusual position for Hermione, who in other chapters is sitting there like starting an organization to try and like fight for elf rights. But like, and after she's been asked out by Victor Crumb, she's like, but the whole point is forging relationships. But like right here, right now, she does not care about that.
No.
Like Ron out of the gate has the right idea. He's excited to get to know the other students, and Hermione is not. And as soon as Crumb asks out Hermione, both of them 180 so hard.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yes. They really will. So we get like a couple of several unnamed six-year girls. Oh, I don't believe it. I haven't got a single quill on me. Do you think he'd sign my hat and lipstick?
Great voice for that character.
That, I think, is how Jim Dale does it. And it's like one of those where I'm like, who is this 6-year girl who's been chain smoking for 40 years?
They never mention a whole lot of like tobacco use of the wizarding world, do they?
I don't think so. Maybe a pipe somewhere in there.
Maybe a pipe somewhere. It feels like something Slughorn would do.
It does. Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway,
then really, Hermione said loftily as they passed now, squabbling over the lipstick. To which I was just like, Hermione, get off your giant horse, okay? Like, you know, like seriously, like whatever horse you think Hermione's on, double it. Yeah.
But then Ron is like, I'm getting his autograph if I can, said Ron. You haven't got a quill, have you, Harry? And Harry's like, nope. They're upstairs in my bag. Another delivery in the Jim Dale version that I think is just so like Harry's version is like, nope.
Nope. I would love to see what happened if Harry had a quill. He's like, sure do. Here you go, Ron. Ron just like squabbling over people. Victor,
sign my bag.
I know. He will eventually get his autograph at the very end.
He will. Yeah. Good for Ron.
Yeah. Just a scrap of paper though, not even like a untorn sheet of paper.
Right. Yeah.
Just a bit of parchment.
Got to use what you got. That's right.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So then we find our way into the Great Hall.
Yep.
Where we learn that the students from the Beauxbaton school have chosen seats at the Ravenclaw table,
which is a ridiculous seating choice, if you ask me.
Lay it on me.
Doesn't make sense. Okay, so if you remember back on page 173, I'm going to flip back for you.
Yeah, why not?
So, you know, because I took note of this. It says, Harry, Ron, and Hermione walked past the Slytherins, the Ravenclaws, and the Hufflepuffs and sat down with the rest of the Gryffindors at the far side of the hall. Now, like in my brain, I always imagine the doors to the Great Hall open in the middle and there's 2 tables on each side.
Yeah, that's how I picture it too.
That makes it sound like it doesn't. It makes it sound like it opens on one side and you got to walk past Slytherin, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, Gryffindor.
Okay.
Like that is the order of the tables.
Right.
As you walk in. So for the Beauxbatons to have walked in, that means they have walked in and gone past the first selection of seats, which would be Slytherin. And gone and sat at the second row of tables, the Ravenclaw tables.
Right. Okay. Well, so, and I mean, I think there's a reason for that, which I'll come back to in just one moment.
Yeah.
So the thing about the Beauxbatons, though, is that they've got, it's interesting because I think that we're going to be illustrated, like, we talk about it all the time in Goblet of Fire because it's literally everywhere, but it's red herring central.
Oh yeah.
Like you are supposed to suspect basically everyone except for Moody, which basically means Moody is the person who did it, which is of course what happens. But we were talking about it a little bit in the last chapter, or we'll see it more in this chapter as well. Like the Durmstrang students are wearing clothes that are like blood red, and Karkaroff is described as having like yellow teeth and like a
weak chin,
an
unctuous voice,
right? Like a smile that doesn't match his eyes. Like everything about them is kind of being delivered to you in this way that makes them feel negative associations.
Yeah.
Like these don't feel like very positive. But then the Beauxbaton students, on the other hand, like they're going to walk in and they're going to choose seats at the Ravenclaw table. And then they're looking around the Great Hall with glum expressions on their faces. 3 of them were still clutching their scarves and shawls around their heads. Like, so all you can imagine is that like, these are people who arrived and they're like, not for us. Like we are not pleased with our accommodations.
Not pleased with this. Yeah. No way. Hermione cannot stand that they're cold. It's not that cold. Why did they bring cloaks? Which also, why didn't they? I mean,
to be fair, that's a fair question. Yeah. It's like, if you're like, if you live in a cold climate and go to the beach, it's not like you show up in like a parka.
Right.
You know, or if you live at the beach and go skiing, it's not like you show up in board shorts.
Right. Like, the weather.
Right. Yeah. It's like this is a predictable problem.
This is Madame Maxime not preparing her students appropriately.
That's exactly right.
But anyway, in come the Durmstrang students as well. They sit at the Slytherin table, which makes sense because it's the one right when you walk through the doors. Okay.
Apparently.
Can you imagine if they walked all the way to the Hufflepuff table? It's like, nah. Also, we're not going to sit with the Beauxbatons, obviously. We got to keep moving.
Well, that's why I think, and this would be my explanation, is that basically what you end up with is the Durmstrang students sitting at the Slytherin table, the Beauxbaton students sitting at the Ravenclaw table, and then you've got Cedric from House Hufflepuff and Harry from Gryffindor. So basically what you end up with is allocation for each of the 4 houses.
I mean, for like literary symbolism, it absolutely makes sense. For characters' logical decision making, I don't know why the Beauxbatons aren't sitting at the Slytherin table. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's ridiculous. Also, where they're sitting, we're going to keep an eye on that. It's going to come up again. I promise.
Okay. Yeah. We're not done with the seating arrangements. We're not done with the
seating arrangements here.
But either way, Ron is trying to make room for Crumb, but he sits down with the Slytherins, and then Ron just ends up being like he just walks right into his own logic.
He does.
Yeah, that's right. Small him up to a Malfoy. Bet he gets people fawning over him all the time.
He can see right through him. Yeah. Like, Ron, you're literally fawning over him right now.
Actively, yes. Yeah. I mean, Ron is nothing if not a little bit hypocritical at times. Yeah. Because then he's like, where do you reckon they're going to sleep? We could offer him space in our dormitory, Harry. I wouldn't mind giving him my bed. I could kip on a camp bed.
Calm down, Ron.
One of us.
Oh my gosh, I know. Ron, though, immediately open to the new students, unlike Hermione, just willing to sleep on the floor for the sake of the Durmstrang students.
Yes, for the sake of all Durmstrang students. Yeah, I bet if Polikov was the one to end up in their dorm, he'd be totally fine kipping.
Oh, poor Polikov.
Yeah, we'll come back to him too.
I love how what Ron thinks. He's like, where do you think they're going to sleep? Can you imagine, though, if they're like, all right, and Durmstrangs, you're going to be sleeping with the 4th year Gryffindor boys.
Yes. Yeah. Why?
What? Okay. Like I am surprised that they stay on the boat and in the carriage and not like in the castle, because like they are coming to like attend Hogwarts in some capacity, right?
Like surely they will be attending classes. Yeah, like with the Hogwarts students in the castle.
Right. Like that's got to be part of it, right? Like I have a hard time thinking that Karkaroff and Maxime are teaching all of their students all of their classes all day long.
Yes.
Right. Like there's no other professors there.
Right.
And it's like, you might say like, well, then why don't we see them in classes? And it's like, because they're all 7th years, basically. Like they just wouldn't be in Harry's classes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But okay. So then back to the Durmstrang students though, we will get a little bit of like a red herring flip side, if you will, which is just basically that they're looking at the Durmstrang students, and Harry says they look a lot happier than the Beauxbatons lot. And they were looking up at the starry black ceiling with expressions of interest. A couple of them were picking up golden plates and goblets, examining them, apparently impressed.
Yeah.
So this is giving the Durmstrang students maybe just like a slightly more positive interpretation. Like maybe Hogwarts by comparison is a lot nicer than what they're used to at Durmstrang.
Yeah, sounds like it's much nicer. I think Crumb will eventually tell us that it only has like 4 floors and much smaller grounds than Hogwarts, but that the grounds are massive and they're like outside flying all the time, which is like part of like then why he's so good at Quidditch.
Yes. Yeah. It does make sense.
Yeah.
Then we're going to have, as long as we're continuing to talk about seating arrangements, Harry being just unusually perplexed.
You think I'm concerned about the seating arrangements? Whew, Harry.
Just wait till you hear what he has to say about it. Yeah. So Filch is up there in his moldy old tailcoat in honor of the occasion.
Why?
And he has 4 chairs, 2 on either side of Dumbledore's. But there's only 2 extra people, Harry said. Why is Filch putting out 4 chairs? Who else is coming?
Harry, you're way too concerned. Like you can't conceive that any more. You don't like. You can't even conceive that maybe there's more than their headmaster coming.
Right.
Like I'm surprised it's only 1 staff member from each school.
Yes.
Like it's not even like a chaperone for the students or like a helper for the headmaster.
Right.
It's just the 2 of them.
Just the 2 principals.
Can't even conceive of that. Of course, that isn't the case. But like, you think this whole tournament starting and just that's it? There's only 2. Like, I mean, yeah. Like, think about it, Harry. It's you'll figure it out.
More than anything, even if it's not trying to figure out like who will occupy the 2 extra seats, it's more to me just like who cares?
Yeah.
Like,
also that.
Like
yes.
if I walked into like a school assembly and there were 4 chairs up on stage, I'd be like, well, wait a second, we only have 1 principal.
No, yeah, come on. Now, wait, what? What?
I would just be like, I'm sure part of the production will involve 4 chairs.
I know exactly.
Yeah, that's
exactly. Also, can someone please get Filch? Can the school not provide new robes for the man?
No,
like
because his robes are manifested.
I know. This is more proof if you ask me.
Yeah, Filch is a poltergeist.
Right. Like
we will never let it go.
Certainly, like the house elves have better, like they have like clean, like towels that they work in or whatever.
Tea cloths
or whatever. It's like the house elves have nicer clothing than Filch.
Right.
Yeah. Certainly they could give him a suit for like McGonagall in the last chapter was swarming around like cleaning everything, like yapping at all the Gryffindors to look their best. Take that butterfly thing out of your hair, Parvati.
Right.
But it's okay for Filch to wear a moldy tailcoat.
He just simply can wear nothing else.
He can't, yeah.
He's a literal stick in the mud.
He's a literal stick in the mud. He can't change clothes because they're all manifested on him.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So anyway, let's see here. When the headmistress appeared, this is in reference to Madame Maxine, the pupils from the Beauxbaton school all leapt to their feet, rather. A few of the Hogwarts students laughed. The Beauxbaton's party appeared quite unembarrassed, however, and did not resume their seats until Madame Maxine had sat down on Dumbledore's left-hand side. Trivia.
Also, just like such high respect for, I guess, Madame Maxime coming from her students.
Yes,
but also like you're right. This is more of the red herrings where it's like maybe she commands a certain amount of like fear from her students or something.
She often, I feel like, is described as like saying something in like an imperious tone, which feels like no mistake in a story where we've just learned about the imperious curse.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the idea that these students are like almost like behaving at her like will, like, I mean, you'd really have to be working hard to like sniff it out, but it's not there.
Right. It's like a little there because like Madame Maxime is not really one of the bigger red herrings, but like there are a few bones thrown her way.
Yeah. And I think that probably what's going on there is that like Ludo Bagman is certainly going to be a rather huge one. Karkaroff is a
massive
huge one.
And Mr. Crouch is a big one.
And Mr. Crouch. And then just as always, I'm sure there's some degree of frustration at or near or around Snape.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Those are like the 4. Those are the 4 big ones. And then she's there as well.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yep. Let's see here. Then we get the introduction from Dumbledore, who says, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, ghosts, and most particularly guests."
Yes, I have great pleasure in welcoming you all to Hogwarts. I hope and trust your stay here will be both comfortable and enjoyable, even though you won't be really staying in the castle.
Right, yes. But then one of the Beauxbaton girls, still clutching a muffler around her head, gave what was unmistakably a derisive laugh.
I know, so rude. This is actually Floor.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yep. So that's something to bring up because we're going to get a couple of scenes with the champion herself, even though she's not been named yet. Hermione has another one of these like kind of snappish moments where she's like, "No one's making you stay," bristling at her.
What happened to Hermione when she visited France?
I have no idea.
You know?
Yeah, someone really
hurt her.
Who hurt you?
Who hurt you, Hermione? Why are you being so mean to the French students?
I have no idea. Let's see here. We get the announcement that the tournament will be officially opened at the end of the feast. And then as Dumbledore sits down, Harry saw Karkaroff lean forward at once and engage him in conversation.
Yep.
That little piece I think is kind of interesting because it's like, it does seem like Karkaroff is like very eager to speak to Dumbledore. And there's a piece of me that believes that what we're actually seeing here is like maybe Karkaroff trying to get like on Dumbledore's good side, possibly. I mean, he doesn't hold up with this tactic very well or for very long, but what you have to keep in mind is that like Karkaroff, and we've brought this up in past episodes, is like he's almost not brave enough to return to the Death Eaters. So it's like he's going to be a big red herring. He's not a very good guy, but he is not willing to rejoin the bad guys, partially just due to the fact that it's because of his own cowardice and naming names.
Yeah,
he knows they want him dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, maybe just trying to.
I don't entirely know, other than just trying to like forge good connections, I guess.
Yeah, smarm up to him.
Basically smarming up to him. Yeah. At this point, Karkaroff would have noticed the dark mark getting a little bit darker on his arm too, so he might be like, "Uh-oh, time to go to Dumbledore here."
And that does make sense too, because we would have also had Snape kind of seeing like a little bit uncomfortable, and it's theorized that it's like Mad Eye that's making him that way, but it's very possible that it's also the dark mark. On Snape's arm.
Absolutely. Then it does mention, it says the house elves in the kitchen seem to have pulled out all the stops as the food shows up, because there's a greater variety of dishes in front of them than Harry had ever seen, including several that were definitely foreign. I highlighted that because I feel like suddenly the house elves get like what I call the Dementor treatment, where like they're like the kitchens were sending up the food until you knew it was the house elves, and now it's the house elves.
Yes.
Whereas like the Azkaban guards were searching for Sirius right up until it was the Dementors, and then they were only called the Dementors.
They will never be referred to as Azkaban guards again.
Yeah, no, they're just the Dementors. So there you go. That's the house elves getting the Dementor treatment.
Right. Yep. Then I love this. Ron is like, "What's that?" And Hermione goes, "Bouillabaisse. Bless you," said Ron.
I didn't know.
And I'm like, to me, it's like one of these things where it's like clearly it's intended to sound like Ron was like, "I have no idea what you just said, so you must have sneezed."
Yeah.
But I love the thought that that's just Ron with like on point comedic timing.
Right.
Like, what is that? Bouillabaisse. Bless you.
Bless you.
Like, I know you didn't sneeze, but
yeah,
that was good.
I think I like to think that as well. And then Hermione can't make up her mind on who she's the most annoyed at here in this chapter, because I'm not sure. Maybe it's the French students, but now she's going to sort of defend them against Ron. It's French, said Hermione. "I had it on holiday summer before last. It's very nice." It's like, I thought you were mad at the French students, and now you got to defend their food good, people bad. Ron, you're dumb.
Hermione is like, "No one can do right by me right now. I'm mad at everyone.
I'm mad at everyone for reasons." Just such like this feeling of superiority she's exuding right now.
Yeah, but I like Ron's response. He goes, "I'll take your word for it," said Ron, helping himself to black pudding, which I had to look this up, but not for nothing. It is made at least rather consistently with like beef blood.
Yeah.
And so I do feel like that's very intentionally almost like having bouillabaisse be this like particular French dish, and then Ron's like, "No, thank you. I'll eat my particular British dish now."
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you about that. It is. Yeah. Black pudding, AKA blood sausage.
Yes. Yeah.
Also kind of gross.
Although I worry that we just offended, like a solid 25% of our
our audience.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there were some British people on tour when we did this chapter, and they were like, "I don't love it."
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I have friends who like it, but me, kind of weird.
They were like, "It's a thing," but like, so maybe it's like licorice.
Yeah, maybe.
Some people like it.
Some people like it. I like red licorice, and then other people will be like, "That's not really licorice." Yeah.
Well, what are you going to do about those people?
I don't know.
Anyway, the Great Hall seems somehow much more crowded than usual, even though there are only barely 20 additional students there. I just bring that up because it is also the case that we have a dozen elephant-sized horses that flew in the Beauxbaton students. So it's like there's basically only 12 of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Only 12 students there.
Yeah.
Or for the Beauxbatons.
For Beauxbaton. Yeah. So it's like, that's a lot of horsepower for...
for 12 students, you know?
Yeah.
Who apparently don't like heavy dishes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Although you say that. Well, we'll come back to the bouillabaisse here in a second because one Fleur Delacour is going to be wanting it.
Yes.
But before that, Hagrid's going to enter the room, and Harry's going to continue to be interested in the most uninteresting parts of the evening.
Yes.
First we got chairs. Now he's like, "Oh, Hagrid, how are the Scroots, Hagrid?" He yells across the hall. And it's like Hagrid's like, "Oh, they're thriving." It's like as if Harry cares.
I know. You know? How far apart is this conversation happening? Like
I think pretty far, Ben.
The Gryffindors, again, as you pointed out, they're the farthest table away. He just entered the hall.
Yeah.
Which means that he's hollering over 4 tables of people.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what's happening. Yeah, he is doing that. But let's see. So, y'all, we need to take a brief pause now to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Pear Eyewear. This past year has been transformative for my face. I mean, I grew a mustache. It hasn't even been a year yet, but when I look back at like old photos of myself, I think like, why did it take me so long to realize that I needed this? But the truth is that changing your face is a big commitment, or at least it usually is. But Pear Eyewear makes it so easy to try out new looks you've always wanted to try, or just swap out your facial aesthetic on the daily. So here's how it works. You set up with your base frames, which you can see I'm wearing right now, and they'll fill your prescription and everything for you. And on their own, they already look awesome. But then Pear also has hundreds of top frames that allow you to customize your look with just a snap. So like, check this out. What? Boom. Now I have new glasses, or I could switch it up and go for some like X-Men ones right here. Oh my gosh, it's that easy. They just snap right on. And their collabs, like, my goodness, they've got Mickey and Friends. Like I said, Marvel, Star Wars, Harry Potter. I mean, I don't know if you could tell from this distance, but I was just wearing some Slytherin ones. And all these looks just magnetically snap right on and transform your look in an instant. And it's so affordable. The top frames start at just $25. So show off new sides of yourself this year. Go to paireyewear.com and use code Griffin for 15% off your first pair, and support the show by mentioning that through the Gryffindor sent you in your post-checkout survey. That's paireyewear.com, code Griffin. Harry is yelling across the hall, clearly getting Ron's attention, until one of the Beauxbaton students, who is going to be Fleur, is going to walk up behind him and say, "Excuse me, are you wanting the bouillabaisse?" And here's what's funny about this in so many ways, okay? Fleur has gotten up from the Ravenclaw table. It sounds like they have got one dish of bouillabaisse out in the entire Grace Hall.
And it's
right?
on the Gryffindor table.
And it's on the Gryffindor table.
Yeah.
Fleur has stood up from the Ravenclaw table, which if you remember the seating, it goes Slytherin, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, Gryffindor. So she has stood up, taken the time to look around the entire Great Hall, looking for the bouillabaisse, spots it at the Gryffindor table, proceeds to walk all the way over there, and then ask if they are done with it so she can have it. Which, by the way, later in the book, Fleur is going to say, "I do not know about this Hogwarts food. It is too heavy." And if you don't know what bouillabaisse is, it's shellfish stew. And it is known for being pretty heavy. Because of it is a heavy dish because of its rich, flavorful broth made of a variety of seafood. So Fleur is just going to be hypocriting all over herself here. But what's better is that Ron is going to say, "Oh, of course, take it. It was delicious." And Fleur is going to take the bouillabaisse and carry it all the way back to the Ravenclaw table. And I can't imagine this is like a small bowl, Ben.
I know. I
Right?
mean, it's like you have to imagine if the house elves like went through the trouble of like creating it.
I know.
You know, this is not like it's not like a small pot. Surely it was laid out for at least 8 to 10 people
For
to
as
take
many
servings.
people as could reach it.
Right. Yeah. So Fleur's just trying to like, maybe she's trying to like flex on everybody a little bit. She's like, "You guys want to see these biceps?
You want to see these
It's like-
biceps?"
because as previously mentioned, I'm not wearing a cloak. I was cold.
Yeah, you can. It's just kind of like sheer silk sleeves I've got here. So I'm just gonna just huck this giant basin of bouillabaisse stew, walk it all the way around the great hall. And they're like long cafeteria tables, you know?
Are, yeah.
Like don't be like, you can't just like, there's not like a path in between. You got to walk all the way to one end, down, back midway up, pick it up, and then make that giant horseshoe journey again back to your seat. And just so funny to me of thinking of Floor carrying the soup around the hall.
I know, because that's the other thing too, is that soup is not like an easy thing. I'm thinking of Kevin from The Office.
Yeah. When he spills the chili.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God, I hope it's that big of a...
Yes, just a
comically large. I hope in the movie they include the scene and it is just a way too big bowl of bouillabaisse that Floor has to carry across the...
And everybody's like... What?
And
why?
I hope the actress has no idea, and they're like, okay, so today you're gonna have to carry this over here, and she's like, I'm gonna have to do what? I'm like, yeah,
I will not be doing that.
Like it's pretty heavy.
And also, you're part Vila, so you need to look like
glam, and like you're a champion, so it should look pretty effortless. So I hope you've been hitting the gym. Like I thought this was for the tournament. It was for the bouillabaisse scene.
It's for the bouillabaisse scene.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like 40 pounds, maybe more.
Right.
Yeah, of soup. Anyway. Moving on. Let's see. So Ron is immediately put under the effects of the Vila, and he just sort of starts like drooling over. He's like, yeah, it was excellent.
Yeah. Very, very breathy. We can only imagine.
Breathy, of course.
But Harry started to laugh, and this is kind of funny because it says that the sound seemed to jog Ron back to his senses. And this is funny because now that Harry has gone through Imperious training, he is not being impacted
by Floor,
by the Vila
at
effects,
all.
Which is literally the next thing that Ron will say is she's a Vila.
Yeah,
and then Hermione, who again is just in a terrible mood. Of course she isn't, said Hermione tartly. I don't see anyone else gaping at her like an idiot.
And I love that the next line is like, but she wasn't entirely right about that.
Yes, as the girl crossed the hall, and again quite far, many boys' heads
carrying
turned,
the soup,
and some of them seemed to be temporarily speechless, just like Ron.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, that's not a normal girl, said Ron, leaning.
Good instincts on Ron here.
Yeah, they don't make them like that at Hogwarts. Then I love this line from Harry. They make them okay at Hogwarts.
Yeah, said Harry without thinking. Yes. Like you could imagine, just like, did I say that out loud?
Hermione's just staring at both of them, being like, "You guys are morons.
You two are my best friends.
I need to pick new best friends.
Yeah, certainly none of those French kids.
Not them. Yeah,
not them. Yeah,
she's gonna hang out with the Bulgarians.
Exactly.
But for real. She
actually will hang out for the Bulgarians. Fortunately, at this moment, the mystery of the 4 chairs is solved as the 2 remaining empty seats are filled by Ludo Bagman and Mr. Crouch. Which, as a reminder, as of this moment, Mr. Crouch is already under the Imperious curse.
Yes. Yeah. So he's going to start kind of seeming like maybe he's a scooch off, but the same way that we know that like Moody exhibits strange behaviors, we also know that Barty Crouch is this very like time stringent, detail oriented, like his head never leaves the office. So like maybe some of his behaviors, maybe in contrast, like Ludo, who's going to seem so jovial and upbeat, just like at the Quidditch World Cup. Like again, I mean, not to keep using the phrase stick in the mud, but like it's, I feel like we are designed to believe that Barty Crouch Sr.'s unusual behaviors is just sort of like him being that kind of human.
Yeah, that he's just like a very strict person who has very no nonsense, no time for that kind of humor.
Exactly. Yeah. So the idea of this like Triwizard Tournament, it's like, could that possibly be the most important thing? And it's like, I'm here now.
I did it. Okay.
Yeah.
Rules.
Yeah. But of course he is under the Imperious curse already.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So Hermione points out that they obviously just wanted to be there to see it start, which of course is like, is that really all that shocking? It's like, obviously they do.
Yeah. I suppose, yeah, they'll want to see it start. And pretty much nothing else. Like, you'll get to see the dragons, I suppose, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's not a great spectator sport.
Not a great spectator sport.
No.
Ron, on the other hand, is spectating, noticing a sort of pale blancmange,
nice.
Which I had to look up what kind of food that was. It is a molded jelly custard.
Yum.
Sounds appetizing.
Yeah.
I bet it is, but it's just like a giant, like, I imagine like a giant, like milky jiggler, you know?
You know how everybody loves it when you combine gelatin and dairy?
Yeah, you know. It sounds like something out of the 50s.
It does.
Yeah.
But he's positioning it to his right so that it was clearly visible to the girl from the Ravenclaw table.
Yeah, he's like, maybe she'll walk all the way over here again.
Again, yes. At some point in time, it's like, why is she walking? Maybe she got a thing for Ron?
For Harry? Ron? I mean, Harry did just make a lot of noise. He's just like, Hagrid!
Yeah, that's...
How those screws, Hagrid? And she's like, ooh, what's that, kid? Is that bouillabaisse?
Is it bouillabaisse? All right, let's see.
Score!
Once the Golden Boys score. Yes.
Sorry, that'd be whee.
Once the golden plates had been wiped clean, Dumbledore stood up again. A pleasant sort of tension seemed to fill the hall now. Harry felt a slight thrill of excitement, wondering what was coming. Several seats down from them, Fred and George were leaning forward, staring at Dumbledore with great concentration. The moment has come, said Dumbledore, smiling around at the sea of upturned faces. The Triwizard Tournament is about to start. I would like to say a few words of explanation before we bring in the casket.
Casket. What a word choice. What a word choice.
Hopefully no one dies.
Hopefully no one dies. Absolute foreshadowing and use of the word casket here and not like box or anything else. Container.
Yeah.
No. Casket, because inside the casket is the Goblet of Fire. The tournament will open with a casket and end with one.
Yeah. You said it.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of people in all their cars or washing dishes or whatever they're doing are like, oh no.
We're not the only one to catch it either. He says casket and Harry says the what? So in case you didn't hear that, Harry, it's a casket, like, for bodies.
Yes, for death.
For death. Yeah, it is coming.
Let's see here. Before we can get more into the casket, though, we got to introduce, excuse me, Mr. Bartemius Crouch, head of the Department of International Magical Cooperation. I feel like the use of his long form name there is a way to kind of get you to start forgetting that his name is Barty Crouch.
Yes.
And then Mr. Ludo Bagman, the head of the Department of the Magical Games and Sport. There's a much louder applause for Bagman than Crouch, perhaps because of his fame as a beater, or simply because he looks so much more likable. Again, I think this is playing into sort of like how we interpret Barty Crouch Sr., as if anything that seems askew about him is just like to be expected.
I know, but it does say like Bartemius Crouch did not smile or wave when his name was announced. And it's like, it's like that you're just like, oh yeah, because he's so strict and he's like a Percy, he's a stick in the mud, he's not having fun. And it's like, no, it's because of the Imperious Curse.
Yes, he's probably just like slack jaw drooling out at the room.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm like even if you're strict like that, like no one's organizing a giant high school tournament and not having fun with it.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. It's
like you did a lot of work. This is fun. He's just like, nah. Yeah, you're right. He's just like slack jawing out of the room. Like, what?
Was that my name?
That was my name. Cool.
Do I have a role here?
Yeah. Harry thought he looked strange in wizard's robes. I'm almost like, maybe he doesn't even normally wear them. Like I feel like maybe Voldemort doesn't even know what he wears. He's just like, yeah, put on wizard robes. You're going to Hogwarts. You got to look good, dude. I don't even know. This is my formal robes. I don't even what.
It's the wrong occasion entirely. Yeah. Yep. Let's see here. We learned that the Bagman and Crouch are going to be part of the judges alongside Professor Karkaroff, Madame Maxine, and of course Dumbledore to judge the champions' efforts. Let's see here.
The casket, then, if you please, Mr. Filch. So what I think is interesting, it says, Filch, lurking around unnoticed at the far corner of the hall, now approached Dumbledore carrying a great wooden chest encrusted with jewels. So even though the goblet itself is going to be very plain, the casket is very fancy. Which I think is very, I don't know why it's like so different. Like you'd think the jewels would be on the cup as well.
You would definitely think that.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe it's just so that nobody ever steals it in the interims or something.
I guess so. Yeah.
Anyway, but so then let's see here. Dennis Creevy actually stood up out of his chair to see it properly, but being so tiny, his head hardly rose above anyone else's. He's so small.
Yeah. So it says, we also learned that the instructions for the tasks the champions will face this year have already been examined by Mr. Crouch and Mr. Bagman, notably not the headmasters, which is so weird that they're the judges, but like they're so integral to the tournament, but also like don't know what's happening, but at least it is there that they don't know, I guess. So like that's supposed to be like Mr. Crouch and Mr. Bagman, like they know the dragons are coming, but Dumbledore and Maxime and Karkaroff don't.
You're right. Yeah. Right. Yes. Yeah. And they've made the necessary arrangements for each challenge. There will be 3 tasks spaced throughout the school year, and they will test the champion in many different ways. This book, I feel like, must have been more fun or enjoyable to write from a structure standpoint, because we kind of always have that classic like Voldemort attacks in June trope going on, where it's like you kind of have to get through like the whole school year. And so at some point I feel like always around like Easter or something in there, it's like 2 months will just get like skipped by,
right?
You know, it's like we have to get
to get to the Voldemort part of the book.
Yes, yeah, we have to skip some school. We can't have everything happening all the time. So like time passed,
right? Time passed, like it did the last chapter. It's 2 weeks, just like that. But yeah, this one, it's like, yeah, you're right. It's very, very neatly structured out, where it's just like the Beauxbaton arrives, then they do the Goblet of Fire, then there's Harry's chosen as champion, Fallout, then we learn about the dragons, first task, unexpected task, Yule Ball, second task, third task. It's just like boom, 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 boom.
Yes, it kind of gives you like a thing to have placed.
Yeah,
I even feel like Quidditch probably on some level is playing an amount of a role to give a structure to the story in the same way.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, okay, yeah, but we're between like the start of the year and Halloween, so there's got to be a Quidditch match, and then another one, and then we're here. Yeah,
right, exactly.
Yeah. Helps advance the story.
Right.
Yeah, but here we go. We get the roughly hewn wooden cup, the Goblet of Fire. Yep. Don't notice. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I was like, anything else?
Sorry, yeah. The roughly hewn, I had a note, but I didn't read it, so sorry. So then we get the roughly hewn wooden cup, the Goblet of Fire, filled to the brim with dancing blue-white flames. Dumbledore closes the casket, and it tells everyone that aspiring champions have just 24 hours to put their names in. So just one day from when they get there, it's like they'll have the feast again the next night, which will be Halloween. And he says the goblet will be placed in the entrance hall, where it will be freely accessible to all those wishing to compete, which is just like, this is where Dumbledore's going to have the age line, and that's like the clearly the protection that's going to be good enough. You no need to guard it or anything, or put like a teacher out there to be like, oh yeah, who are you? Cool. Cedric, you're old enough? Cool. Put your name in. You know, no checking system. Age line is good enough.
Yes. Yeah. So that one's kind of interesting, because it will eventually come up that Dumbledore sort of like he will ask Harry, like, did you ask an older student to put it in for you? So like Fred and George are over there like concocting, you know, aging potion. It's like they could just ask Angelina to drop their name in.
I know, right? You know,
like that would have worked.
That would have worked. Yeah. Yeah. The solution's so simple. It's like as if they just trust that Dumbledore is so impenetrable that they'll have to be extra clever to trick it. And it's like, nah, just the simple thing would have worked.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And then we get like another kind of like big detail that I think probably was vitally important to how this story is crafted. But it says, once a champion has been selected by the Goblet of Fire, he or she is obliged to see the tournament through to the end. The placing of your name in the goblet constitutes a binding magical contract.
Yep.
There can be no change of heart once you have become champion. Please be very sure then, if you decide to play, you are wholeheartedly willing to see it through. And that detail, I think, is very important, because this is like what is going to ultimately force Harry's participation, like, because it begs the question of, if you must compete, if you must see it through to the end, if there is a binding magical contract, then what happens if you don't?
Right.
And this definitely kind of hails back to this idea of like an unbreakable vow kind of relationship that you have with the goblet itself.
Yeah, which we aren't really introduced into the unbreakable vow. We won't get more information on that until like book 6, I think.
Yep.
But when Snape and Narcissa Malfoy make one together. But the idea behind that is that once the vow is made, if you break it, you die. So it does make it sound like if you get Harry's name in there, he does have to compete, or I guess the goblet will light him on fire or something. I don't know.
Something, yeah. So anyway, then we get a little bit of conversation about the age line. And I think Hermione's pointing out like that anybody under 17 won't stand a chance. George is just sort of like, speak for yourself. And then he says, you'll try to get in, won't you, Harry? And I'm like, this must be so hard if you're Ron.
I know.
What about me?
What about me?
Like almost to the point where sometimes I think Fred and George like Harry in a way where they're almost like sad that Ron is in his year, because otherwise they would have just like folded Harry into their friend group.
Oh, I know, right? It's like now we just got to kind of deal with that you're the same year as Ron, and Ron's your best friend.
He gets to be your best friend, but we would be your best friend, Harry.
We would, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just sort of like I think they're like, I feel like the Weasleys are always trying to go out of their way to be extra nice to Harry, and it's like they get to treat him the way like like little brothers want to be treated.
Yeah,
But it's like, no, we can't do that. You're our little brother, so we gotta give you a hard time. But Harry is not actually our brother, so we'll just be cool to him.
We'll just be cool. Yeah.
He's also like kind of the chosen one, so it's pretty cool. Whatever, no big deal.
He took down the Dark Lord.
Yeah. Also, I love that. Like they totally see right through the problem too. They're like, oh, the age line will only keep you from getting to it, but the cup itself doesn't care, and they are correct about that. Which is pretty savvy on their part. And then what does Hermione say? She says, I don't think anyone under 17 will stand a chance. We just haven't learned enough, which is the second time this chapter Hermione is just dead wrong, because clearly Harry will get in and he will stand a chance and even win.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
So he has learned enough.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Then Harry does think to himself, he wondered how angry Dumbledore would be if somebody younger than 17 did find a way to get over the age line. And I highlighted that. I was like, depends on if you're watching the book or reading the movie.
I know. Yeah. He wondered how angry he'd be. I mean, he's quite calm, actually.
Yeah, quite calm. I said watching the book or reading the movie.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't mean to. That was not on purpose. Someone caught it though.
Someone did.
Anyway, let's see here. Then we get another line from Ron, looking for Crumb. Dumbledore didn't say where the Durmstrang people are sleeping, did he?
But calm down, Ron.
Yeah, seriously. So the person who needs to calm down. This query is answered almost instantly. They were leveled the Slytherin table now, and Karkaroff had just bustled up to his students. Back to the ship then, he was saying. Victor, how are you feeling? Did you eat enough? Should I send for some mulled wine from the kitchens?
Such favoritism.
I love this. Because then, Professor, I would like some wine, said one of the Durmstrang boys hopefully. I wasn't offering it to you, Polikov.
Yeah, Polikov.
I noticed you have dribbled food all down the front of your robes again. Disgusting boy.
Why'd you even bring him?
That's the thing. It's like, was he one of your candidates? Like,
no.
And it sounds like Karkaroff is being like completely and utterly unfair to Polyakov in this situation. But we'll come back to this in just a second.
Yeah,
it sounds like he's being mean. Which, I mean, to be fair, he is being mean. But we'll come back to it.
We will. Let's see. Karkaroff is making his way towards the door, and I guess what Harry and Ron are like Harry, Ron, Hermione are letting him go first. And then Karkaroff notices Harry and freezes. His eyes move slowly up Harry's face and fixed upon the scar. And this is like very suspicious behavior. This is like more red herring setup where you're just like, oh boy, he's really noticing him. But then it says the boy with the food all down his front nudged the girl next to him and pointed openly at Harry's forehead. That's Polyakov again.
That's Polyakov. So it's like Karkaroff could have just been like, maybe he had like a little like dab of something, and Karkaroff is like, come on, boy, like you spill it on your shirt. Right. But it's like
now Harry's noticed it too.
Now Harry's described him as the boy with food all down his front. It's like, this must be a lot. It must be
a lot of food.
Like it's like, okay, maybe Karkaroff has a point. Maybe Polyakov needs like a napkin.
Yeah. Right. Watch out. Again, magic. You're supposed to be good enough to enter this tournament if you're even here.
Right.
Like, come on, guys.
I think we can all rest fairly assured that Crumb was predetermined to be the Durmstrang champion.
Do you think Karkaroff even lets them put their names? It's like, everyone just write down Victor's name. Don't even bother Polyakov.
Definitely not. He just brought the most influential. You can have a year in Scotland. That's your treat.
That's it. We need to have a showing. Okay, it needs to look like I have 12 good students. Okay, I don't.
I just got the one.
I got the one.
And he can do it all. Let's see here. So then we get Moody chiming in for the first time in this chapter. Yeah, that's Harry Potter. And it says the color drained from Karkaroff's face as Harry watched. A terrible look of mingled fury and fear came over him. You, he said, staring at Moody as though he was really seeing him.
Which he's not.
Yes, exactly. Which he's really not. But it's also like, it's hilarious because he's worried that it's Moody. But if only he knew who it actually was.
Be even worse.
It would be even worse.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, if there's anyone who would like Karkaroff even less than Moody, it is Barty Crouch Jr. So either way, he's screwed. But it is bad news for Karkaroff, even if it's just Moody, because as we will learn later, the Moody is the one who brought Karkaroff into Azkaban in the first place.
Yes, exactly. Then Moody says, me, grimly. And unless you've got anything to say to Potter, Karkaroff, you might want to move. You're blocking the doorway. And as Karkaroff walks away, Moody has a look of intense dislike upon his mutilated face. And this, of course, is going to all feed into that red herring fuel, where it's just basically like Karkaroff seems unlikable. He clearly plays favorites. He's kind of rude. He's got this negative appearance, like whatever you want to take.
He's taken aback by Harry's scar.
Yes.
Which makes it seem like he's like, oh, you're the one who got rid of the Dark Lord. Like, that's not great. You changed my life.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
And so all we can assume is that Moody is this dark wizard catcher, and this intense dislike upon his mutilated face is coming because he's like, I don't like the fact that you've been permitted back into this environment. But the actual reason behind the look of intense dislike is because it's Barty Crouch Jr. and Karkaroff named him specifically.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, he does in the movie. I'm not sure if he does it in the book.
Oh, maybe you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Okay. That's a good point. But either way,
he's
still named names. He's a Death Eater who walked free.
He is a Death Eater who walked free and who got a bunch of other people thrown in Azkaban.
Yes.
But so then we fast forward to the next morning where everyone's kind of up early, checking to see if anyone's put their name in. Ron asks a random third-year girl, did anyone put their name in? Don't know who she was. And she gets some speaking lines. She says, all the Durmstrang lot, but haven't seen anyone from Hogwarts yet. So, but I guess that makes sense that everyone from Durmstrang would enter, because why else would you even come?
Yes. I like to think this is Luna.
You think it's Luna?
Yeah. You know how Ron and Luna have a thing?
I think, yeah. But she'd only be, oh, no, you're right. I hope it is Luna.
Red Moon for life.
Red Moon for life. Exactly.
Look, it's love at first sparks.
It's love at first sparks, you know? They're just staring there. He was like staring at the fire together, having a nice romantic moment. He's like, has anyone put their name in yet?
Yeah.
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 Kind of probably a dreamy tone to it.
All the Durmstrang lot, but I haven't seen anyone from Hogwarts yet.
Nailed it. Totally Luna. Yeah. Headcanon. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, there we go. Let's see here.
But then this is the next line. Harry says, bet some of them put their name in last night after we'd all gone to bed, said Harry. I would have done if it had been me. Wouldn't have wanted everyone watching. So he says that because it's just set up for Ron being super mad at him later. And he's like, oh, I'm not stupid. You said you would have done it the night, the night before.
Yeah. So basically this is Harry just trying to like understand the mentality of people and like wouldn't want like the additional pressure or whatever. But this is going to age very poorly for Harry once his name comes out, and Ron's like, the heck, brah.
Yeah. But so pretty quickly, Fred and George show up as well. They've just completed their aging potion and are very excited to take it. They say, 1 drop each, said George, rubbing his hands together. We only need to be a few months older, to which I'm like, yeah, but like, why risk it, man?
Why risk it?
Yeah, like, if you only need a few months, and like, just surefire hit it, you know?
Yeah.
Give it a gulp, you know?
Give it a gulp.
Give it a gulp.
A little gulp ski. And so, I mean, in a few months is kind of like a mild estimate as well, because we know that they're born on April 1st or April Fool's Day. So that would mean if this is October 31st, we'd have November, December, January, February, March. So 5 months. It's almost half a year.
Are they're just 1 year older than, no, they're 2 years older than Ron. 1?
They must be 2.
Must be 2.
Because if they just need to be a few months older, then...
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Ron's 4.
Oh, and they didn't get as many OWLs, so they're definitely 6th year. And
okay.
Ron's in 4th year.
Okay, got it. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Okay, never mind. I was going to say, because Ron's born on March 1st, so if they're born on April 1st and it was just 1 year later, then they would have been born like less than 12 months apart.
Yes, I think instead they are like 23 months older.
Apart. Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Let's see here. Yeah, so just need to be a few months older, and it's like maybe that's actually something to keep in mind, because they say a few months and it ends up not working. So maybe they just needed to take more.
Yeah, what if that's the reason?
Yeah, it's like no, you guys just did your math wrong.
You just didn't do enough. You're like, just a couple of drops. That's all we need. And it's like, no, you needed more.
You need more.
They also just like did they take it, or were they? That's the aging potion. 1 drop each. One drop. Like, what kind of math are they doing on these potions? Like, how many months are in a drop of aging potion?
How many months? I don't know.
I don't know. I guess more than what they think they need.
Right. This would be really funny to like dip into someone's pumpkin juice in the morning. You know,
yeah.
like just pour like a whole like half cup.
They think 1 drop is good for about 7 months, is what it seems.
That must be what it seems.
Yeah. I'm telling. They should have gone bigger. Bigger.
That's my new headcanon.
Because you know what? It's an age line, and it's supposed to keep out people underage, and if an aging potion makes you older, I don't see why this wouldn't work.
I know.
I think they just didn't take enough.
They just didn't take enough.
Okay.
Well,
all right.
Classic.
Yep.
And then Hermione's like, I'm sure Dumbledore will have thought of this. And it's like, maybe he did, but also maybe he didn't because it's not that good of a plan.
Yeah, because you could have just walked an older student across the line and you're all dumb.
Right. Yep. Let's see here. So, Harry watched fascinated as Fred pulled a slip of parchment out of his pocket bearing the words Fred Weasley, Hogwarts. I just bring that up just because I do think it's interesting that Harry's name doesn't have, at least it is not listed as having a school next to it. And basically what we know happens when Harry's name comes out of the Goblet of Fire is that it has been manipulated into believing that there is a fourth school.
Yes.
But so my theory there is that the way that Moody got a piece of writing with Harry's name on it, assuming that it makes a difference who wrote the name, is he tore it off of a piece of Harry's homework.
No, that makes perfect sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, because you would think that would matter. I mean, you could almost play a prank on somebody. Like, what if Cedric didn't want to enter and somebody else was like, Cedric Diggory.
Yeah, right.
Good luck with this.
Have fun.
Yeah. It's like, oh, no. I didn't mean to.
Yep.
Yeah.
You'd think this is another thing. You'd think the Goblet could like suss that out. It'd be like, well, like he's like, if he wanted to enter, he'd have put his own name in.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You'd think it'd be that sophisticated.
Yeah.
But apparently not.
Yeah, guess not.
Let's see here. So then Fred takes a great step over the line. For a split second, Harry thought it had worked. George certainly thought so, for he let out a yell of triumph and left after Fred. But the next moment, there was a loud sizzling sound, and both twins were hurled out of the golden circle as if they had been thrown by an invisible shot putter.
Nice.
They landed painfully 10 feet away from the cold stone floor, and to add insult to injury, there was a loud popping noise, and both of them sprouted identical, long, white beards. Amazing. This was my stupid theory for this particular chapter, is that we know that Dumbledore supposedly won every single prize that the school offered.
Yeah.
We know that it's been 100 years since the last tournament. We know that if it's been 100 years, that would mean 1894. Dumbledore's born in 1881, meaning he would only be 13. Obviously, there was no age line back there, but we can just assume that Dumbledore tried to do the same thing and was just not capable of winning the Triwizard Tournament, and that's where he got his nice long white beard.
There you go.
He's had it since he was 14.
Yeah. He's had it for the rest of his time. The fact that Jude Law didn't have that in the Fantastic Beasts movies, not a problem.
Let's just not be preoccupied about things that don't matter.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Was there an age line then? No. So where would the beard have come from? We don't know.
We don't know. I just like that it happens to be the case that what they sprout is something that Dumbledore himself possesses.
I would love it if they just couldn't get rid of it and these were just like the twins just had beards now.
That would be amazing.
Right?
Yes, just for always and forever.
Just forever. Dumbledore's like, I told you not to do that. I told you not to do that.
But then we get a really great, well, not a great piece of trivia more than anything. I suggest you both go up to Madame Pomfrey. She is already tending to Miss Fawcett of Ravenclaw and Miss Summers of Hufflepuff. Mr. Summers, like I was saying, both of whom decided to age themselves up a little too little. Let's see here. So then Fred and George set off the hospital wing, accompanied by Lee, who was howling with laughter.
I know.
Yep.
Too bad he didn't just take one more step.
Yeah.
If only. If only.
Yep.
But that's good trivia though. Who else enters? So or who tries to enter? So it's Fawcett from Ravenclaw, Summers from Hufflepuff,
and Weasley from Gryffindor,
and Weasley from Gryffindor, and Lou Jordan would have, but didn't get the beard.
Exactly. Good point.
Yeah.
Then we get a couple of other people from Hogwarts who could be potentially champions, but it feels like pretty much as much emphasis as we've had on Cedric. It was never going to be anybody else. There's a rumor going around that Warrington got up early and put his name in. Dean told Harry, that big bloke from Slytherin who looks like a sloth.
Nice.
All the Hufflepuffs are talking about Diggory. And this is going to be kind of interesting too. This is coming from Seamus, and it says, "But I wouldn't have thought he'd have wanted to risk his good looks." And I think this is kind of like an interesting way, and because he's going to do it again. But like, it's almost as if the only thing that could actually criticize about Cedric is that he's handsome, which is not a criticism,
right?
It's like, I wouldn't have thought he wanted to risk his good looks. It's like, You can't be like, he's not good at magic or like, he's not qualified or something. It's like, but also what you're doing is acknowledging he's good looking.
Right.
And so then we see that Angelina from Gryffindor is also going to enter. And then Seamus will chime in again and say, yeah, better you than Pretty Boy Diggory.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm like, Seamus, I think you might have a crush on Cedric.
I think you might. Yeah. I know. It like his looks come up so often. You're just like, how good looking is this kid?
It must be exceptional.
I know. Yeah. So, but then it's like, then you think like, well, they got Robert Pattinson and he also played Edward Cullen and Bruce Wayne. So yeah. It's pretty good looking.
Pretty good looking
guy. Yeah.
He's doing okay, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So then they need to figure out what they're going to do with the day until the Halloween feast comes around, which I could see where this would totally be like, I would be on the edge of my seat. I'm like, I am so excited.
Oh, I know. This would be so great.
It would be. This would be, especially if you're not involved at all. This is like going to a wedding and having no responsibilities. It's just a fun party.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
It's the best. So they
open bar. Let's go.
Amazing. They suggest we haven't been down to visit Hagrid yet from Harry.
Kind of surprising because they're like 3 weeks into the school year now, if not more. No, you're right. 8 weeks. Wow. Yeah, because it's Halloween. Yeah, and it started on September 1st. Yeah, 8 weeks and they haven't gone to visit Hagrid? Yeah, pretty surprising.
Kind of unexpected, yeah. Hermione realizes that she hasn't asked Hagrid to join SPEW yet, which I do think will be an interesting exchange, if nothing else, once we get to that.
Yep.
They head down the staircase and they spot the Vila girl from Beauxbaton, who is going in to enter her name in the Goblet of Fire. Of course, this is Fleur.
That's Fleur.
Fleur, whose name I can say Fleur Delacour, and I never feel like it sounds wrong, but I feel like if I take off the Delacour, I feel like I'm saying floor, like FLOOR.
Right.
And then I feel like whenever I just say Fleur, I say it more like FLER, like Fleur.
Fleur.
Bill and Fleur's wedding.
Bill and Fleur's wedding. Yeah. I feel like I say Bill and Fleur's wedding, but I say Fleur Delacour.
Yeah. It's like Caribbean and Caribbean.
Yeah. So, they both work.
Yeah. Pirates of the... What do you say?
Pirates of the Floor.
Of the Fleur.
Let's see. So they point out Floor going to, I just said Floor there, going to put it in there. Just cut that.
Cut that? Okay.
Ron says, reckon they'll go back to school or hang around to watch the tournament, which I'm like, and Harry says, hang around, I suppose. Madame Maxime's staying to judge. And see, like, can you imagine if everyone just left and it's like just Floor there the rest of the tournament?
Although alternatively at Beauxbaton and Durmstrang, there's an entire school that neither of which have their headmasters.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Because like Madame Maxime and Karkaroff are at Hogwarts all year.
They never go back.
Like, can you imagine if it had been held at one of those schools and Dumbledore just isn't at Hogwarts the whole year?
Yes. Right. It feels like a great way to have a lot of risky things happen to Harry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, Dumbledore's not going to be here for the whole year.
I know.
Dun, dun, dun.
I can't believe Voldemort didn't consider that. It's just like, you know what? I'll do this whole thing. I'll get Harry to touch the Triwizard Cup in the maze. And it's like, can you imagine Warren be like, what if we had Barty Crouch change it to the Durmstrang school and then Dumbledore was there? And then he wouldn't be at Hogwarts.
We could just get him.
And
he'd be like, shut up,
Wormtail. My plan's better. So many things can go wrong.
I have such good ideas.
I have amazing ideas. You're just a dumb rat. Oh, man. But let's see. So Hermione runs up to get her SPEW badges, and they all head down to Hagrid's, who greets the door and says, "About time. Thought you'd forgotten where I live." To which I'm like, dude, you could have said, like, I think on Harry's first day of school ever, he sends Harry a note. It says, "Want to come have tea on Friday?"
Yes.
Yeah. So Hagrid, he's kind of like lighting him up a little bit here. It's like, dude, you could have invited them down,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's normally like you to do exactly that.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And Hagrid is wearing his best and very horrible Harry Brown suit, plus a checked yellow and orange tie. Trivia. This wasn't the worst of it, though. He had evidently tried to tame his hair using large quantities of what appeared to be axle grease.
Yes. If only he knew someone in the hair care business.
Why does it never come up that Harry like literally got his fortune from this?
From the Sleek Easy hair line.
And he's actively not using it.
He doesn't use it. Yeah, I know. He is always talking about his messy hair. I suspect Harry himself doesn't even know.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, where did my fortune come from? Why do I have so much money?
Why do I have so much money? Yeah. Wouldn't that be great if he's just like the moment he turns 17, he gets his own place. He's like, Mr. Potter, we've got 17 years worth of delivery of product for you here. It's just like, what? What's this? It's like, oh, didn't you know where your parents made their money? That your father inherited the Sleek Easy potion line.
Yeah. He's like, man, Gilderoy is going to flip when I tell him.
He is going to flip. Yeah. That's why it's always so funny that Gilderoy wants to create his own hair care line and like introduce world peace or whatever. Or those like his greatest ambitions. Does those two things. Harry does those two things.
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Also, mind you that Hagrid is clearly all dressed up because he's trying to prepare for the feast because he wants to look nice for Madame Maxime. But also, we're about to see them spend literally the entire day down at Hagrid's cabin. This is the morning still. So Hagrid woke up, put on his suit, and is wearing it all day.
Yeah, his suit, but at some point in time, he's going to be fixing his socks, so maybe he doesn't have those on yet.
No, he doesn't have his socks on yet because he's going to be knitting those back together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As you do before major fancy events.
Exactly.
We found out that the Scroots are nearly 3 feet long. Only trouble is they've started killing each other, to which I just wrote, oh, shucks.
Oh, man.
Still got about 20, though.
20.
Yeah.
And mind you, they look like scorpions, and I can tell you, if there was a single scorpion in this room right now, I would be like, we need to get out of here.
I would be not in this room.
I'm not in this room right now. He has 23-foot scorpions in his backyard.
Yes.
As pets now.
As pets.
And they can shoot fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
We get a little bit of description of the inside of Hagrid's house. Of course, we have like the enormous wooden table, the gigantic bed, patchwork quilt, the quantity of cured hams and dead birds hanging from the ceiling. Sure. Again, as you do.
Just dead birds.
Yeah, just dead birds hanging from the ceiling.
Birds.
That's where we keep them.
Yeah.
He's talking about all the fun things that are coming. You just wait. You're going to see some stuff you've never seen before. First task. But I'm not supposed to say.
I'm almost surprised this isn't the method by which Harry finds out about the dragons. Like Hagrid just assuming Harry can't be chosen, and so he just tells him that it's dragons right here.
Yeah, that seems like a good way to do it.
This would have been a great way, and Harry's like, wait a minute, didn't Hagrid say dragons? What the, oh my God.
I know. Yes. Because, we also have the whole, like, shouldn't have told you that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be perfect.
It would have been perfect. But I suspect the reason is because it will be Moody who tells Hagrid to tell Harry.
Yeah.
And it needs to be like more manipulated on his part.
That's a good point.
Yes, but what he is referencing is the dragons.
Right.
So far.
They ended up having lunch with Hagrid, though they didn't eat much. Hagrid had made what he said was beef casserole, but after Hermione had unearthed a large talon from hers, she, Harry, and Ron rather lost their appetites.
A large talon?
Yeah. Is this poor cooking or like an odd dish? Because notably, cows don't have talons.
Cows don't have talons.
There shouldn't have been a talon anywhere near this dish.
You know what? There is one creature that Hagrid has that has hooves and talons, though.
Is it hippogriff casserole?
Is this hippogriff casserole?
He's like going to extraordinary efforts to protect and save Buckbeak, hiring the night bus, getting Buckbeak's own bed and probably toothbrush.
Yeah.
And yet he's cooking the rest of the flock.
Yeah. You never hear about him, do you?
He sure don't.
He starts out with like 12, and then it's just Buckbeak.
Or Witherwings.
Yeah. What happens to the rest of them? I don't know.
Soup.
You tell me. Casserole.
Oh, man. Yep. It was very cozy sitting by the fire, listening to the gentle patter of drops on the window. It does sound amazing.
It does sound great, spending a nice, like, lazy Saturday down at Hagrid's in the rain and just eating casserole.
Just eating casserole. I would do this.
I would do it. This sounds like a great day. This is what I want. I just want a Hagrid's cabin in the woods.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hagrid's
like, it's the weekend, kids. We're heading over to the Hagrid's cabin.
Yeah. I'm going to build one of those. That sounds great.
Okay, cool. Good.
Let's see here. Then we have a little bit of a conversation with Hagrid and Hermione about the SPEW. And again, I'm going to stand firmly in camp. I think that Hermione is completely correct. But I think that the one thing you could say for Hagrid is that I think he is coming from an observer of creatures and beasts.
Yeah.
And just acknowledging their like culture, like what he has learned by studying them. Because he's basically just like, it'd be doing them an unkindness, Hermione. It's in their nature to look after humans. That's what they like. So I think if we wanted to give anybody any version of a conversation about this particular topic, it's maybe like Hagrid's take on it.
Sure.
Where I think he is coming from a place that is at least attempting to be respectful of what he believes they want. But I think, again, I think that goes back to Hermione's point that they're just like, they've been brainwashed into believing that this is what they want.
Right. And it's like almost ironic that it's coming from Hagrid, who later in this story will get like his own brand of like bigotry treatment from the Rita Skeeter article.
That also true. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so like he's saying like, that wouldn't be very, their house elves, this is what they like. And it's like, those half giants, that's what they're like. You know? Yeah, he's going to eat these words. Actually, now that I think about it, this is very well set up.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that's the setup.
Yeah. But I do just love this entire day where they're just like having like friendly, even though they're like arguing about this, it feels like just like a friendly, like a funny conversation too. Like I don't imagine like Hermione and Hagrid are like upset with each other over this. They're just sort of like arguing the silly points of whatever they're talking about.
Yes, indeed. And then it's 5:30. They start to they decide it's time to head back up to the castle for the Halloween feast, and more important, the announcement of the school champions, which again I would be so psyched for. It sounds like so much fun.
Hagrid puts away his darning. That's his sewing. If you're wondering, Hagrid's just been sitting there sewing his socks back together.
Yep.
And then he puts on some eau de cologne.
Eau de cologne.
Which this is just the thing. Like whenever I listen to the books, I always hear it as odor cologne, like cologne, which either has an odor or covers up an odor.
Right.
But that's not the words at all. It's eau de cologne, EAUDE cologne.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cologne.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I love Hermione's response though. Is that aftershave? Did you guys hear the good mouth noise?
I did. Yeah,
I swear. I think it's in the audiobook.
Yeah.
Hagrid's blushing. Maybe it's a bit much, he said gruffly. I'll go take it off.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Eau de cologne, said Hermione in amazement. Hagrid, and what's with the hair and suit, said Harry in an undertone. Like, figure it out faster, you guys.
Yeah, seriously. This whole book is about dating.
I know.
And of course, Hagrid's outside washing himself vigorously in a water barrel.
Yeah.
Which I just find to be iconic.
Yeah.
You know,
right?
Why don't, I mean, when we build our Hagrid's hut, we will have a water barrel.
Gotta have a water barrel out there. And then it says, Madame Maxime and the Beauxbaton students had just emerged from their carriage, clearly about to set off from the feast too. Let's see. I think what I think is funny about this to me is that Hagrid's just going to forget about the three of them in the cabin and immediately go and meet up with Madame Maxime. But it's like he just washed off. He doesn't even go inside to dry off. So he's just like doused himself in water and is like, oh, hello there.
Yes.
I'm soaking wet. Take my arm.
I'm soaking wet. Oh, man. What a line. What a line. I like that it says he was walking to Madame Maxime with a rapt, misty-eyed expression Harry had only ever seen him wear once before when he was looking at the baby dragon Norbert, which is also like a little like nudge, dragon. Yeah. He's going up to the castle with her, said Hermione indignantly. I thought he was waiting for us.
Just leaves him there.
He fancies her, said Ron incredulously.
Oh, thank goodness you got there. At this point, it's like Ron is the only one catching on to anything here. It's like later in the book, Hermione's gonna have such a good understanding of like relationships and jealousy and like what's actually happening, but she cannot figure it out at all right now.
No. Yeah. I think especially when it comes to like Cho in year 5, and she's like Harry's describing like their first kiss or whatever, and he's like she cried a little bit. It was wet, and she's like, well, clearly she likes Harry, but she feels bad about Cedric, and then she feels even worse because blah blah blah. And like Ron's like, that all happens inside of someone's head.
Yeah,
but right now he's totally figuring it all out.
Yep.
Let's see here. Yeah, Durmstrang parties walking up to the castle. Victor Crumb is walking side by side with Karkaroff, and the other Durmstrang students were straggling behind them.
Okay. You know what though? Ron mentions, he says, bet any baby of theirs would weigh about a ton. So query, because they're both half giant, half wizard, right?
Right.
So could they just have a Like, if you got the half giant from Hagrid and the half giant from Madame Maxime, could the two of them just produce a full giant?
I don't. Half and half.
Half and half, exactly.
I think I'm trying to think of how genetics works.
Or conversely, regular person.
That also feels possible.
Exactly.
That feels more possible somehow. I need a Punnett square.
I think it's 25, 50, and 25.
20. Wait, what?
You'd have a 25% chance of getting full giant, 50% chance of getting a half giant, and a 25% chance of getting a normal size wizard.
Okay.
There you go.
I love it.
Yep.
This is science with Jay.
There you go.
Wizard genetics and how it works. Anyway, let's see here. The Goblet of Fire had been moved. It was now standing in front of Dumbledore's empty chair at the teacher's table. Fred and George, clean shaven again, seemed to have taken their disappointment fairly well. Hope it's Angelina, said Fred, as Harry, Ron, and Hermione sat down. So do I, said Hermione breathlessly. We'll know soon.
Yeah, of course, he hopes it's Angelina. Fred will ask out Angelina later in this book too, the Yule Ball. So I think Fred has a little bit of a thing going for Angelina here.
I think maybe.
Yeah. It says, perhaps it's because they're a second feast in 2 days, but Harry didn't seem to fancy the extravagantly prepared foods as much as he would have normally. Talk about first world problems. My goodness.
Seriously.
Jeez, Harry.
Especially because I don't think he's going to enjoy any food for the rest of the year.
I know. If only he enjoyed this feast. Nope.
Yep. He just wanted the plates to clear and to hear who had been selected as the champions. And finally, that does in fact happen. Dumbledore gets to his feet. On either side of him, who could it possibly be? No, it's Karkaroff and Madame Maxine. Ludo Bagman was beaming and winking at various students. Mr. Crouch, however, looked quite uninterested, almost bored.
Because, again, he's under the Imperious Curse.
Slack-jawed.
He's basically just like...
I wish it said that he drooled into his...
Yeah, or had food running down his face. They pulled a Polikov.
Pulled an old Polikov.
Polikov.
A classic. And then, the goblet is about ready to make its decision, said Dumbledore. I estimate that requires 1 more minute. I'm like, wow.
Wow, you got it down, man.
Right, yeah, this worked out well.
Okay, so the tournament only happens once every 5 years, right?
Yep.
Okay, and... It is the goblet, because in the next chapter, we're going to learn out that Ludo Bagham's going to say, but that's not how it works, Karkaroff. The goblet's already gone out.
Right.
It won't like to get into the start of the next tournament. It was like in the 100 years that the tournament hasn't been played, does that mean that while sitting in the casket, the goblet has just lit on fire for 24 hours on 20 separate occasions? And just no one's just put their names in?
Almost certainly. It's just God.
It's just whoosh.
Will you guys please come play with me? I am so bored.
But sitting in this casket.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, I love their determination that they're it has to be way safer, but we do still have to use the Goblet of Fire. We couldn't just do it in any other way.
We could just have students nominate our teachers nominate students and be like, hey, these are exceptional students.
Yeah. So that way we could ensure that only people of the correct age got in.
You need a magically binding contract third party to be your scapegoat, as to be we can't be mad at the cup.
I know. We can't be mad at the cup. The cup just did what it was supposed to do.
We'll just be mad at Harry for the whole year for some reason.
Yeah, it's his fault.
Yeah. So anyway, everybody waited. They're checking their watches. Any secondly, Jordan whispered 2 seats away from Harry. The flames inside of the goblet suddenly turned red again. Sparks began to fly from it. Next moment, a tongue of flame shot into the air. A charred piece of parchment fluttered out of it. The whole room gasped. The champion for Durmstrang, he read in a strong, clear voice, will be Victor Crumb.
Not before he catches a floating piece of paper out of the air.
I'm trying to do that.
Skill of the seeker.
4 times real fast. Yeah.
4 times indeed.
Yeah. Could you imagine if it was anyone else? And it's like we have this whole setup with the Quidditch World Cup and how important Crumb is, and he shows up and Ron's fawning over him, and it's like Polikov, and we're like, what's Crumb gonna do all year?
I know. I guess just hang out.
Hang out. Yeah. Are those the only 2 named Durmstrang students that we have?
Yes.
Wow.
Only 2.
Okay.
But Ben, it's even worse because when Flora's name come out, there won't have been a single named Beauxbaton student yet.
Good. You're right. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah.
And there won't be another one.
Bravo, Victor, boomed Karkaroff. Knew you had it in you. And I drew a picture and I said, other kids be like, and I drew a sad face.
Yeah. Pretty much. Ron is not surprised at all. He's like, yep, saw that coming, no doubt. And then let's see, the goblet lights up again. The champion for Beauxbaton, said Dumbledore, is Fleur Delacour, which of course it is, because that's the only person we've heard of so far.
Yes. Yeah. It's her, Ron, Harry shouted as the girl who so resembled a Gravilla got gracefully to her feet, shook back her sheet of silvery blonde hair and swept up the Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff tables.
Yep.
At least we're getting table orientation right.
Exactly.
You know? It's like she's exactly where she's supposed to be.
Exactly. Between Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff, right in the middle of the hall.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then Hermione points out that the other students are disappointed, and disappointed was a bit of an understatement, Harry thought. Two of the girls who had not been selected had dissolved into tears and were sobbing with their heads on their arms.
To which I highlighted and said, I mean, pull it together, ladies. You haven't even been mentioned.
We don't even know your name.
We don't even know Flora's name until one sentence ago.
Exactly. Yep. The Hogwarts champion next. And the Goblet of Fire turned red once more. Sparks showered out of it. The tongue of flame shot high into the air. And from its tip, Dumbledore pulled a third piece of parchment. The Hogwarts champion, he called, is Cedric Diggory.
Can you imagine if Harry's name came out first, though?
It would change a lot.
I feel like it would change so much.
Because then all of a sudden it's sort of like Harry Potter, the true Hogwarts champion, and Cedric.
Everyone would be like, oh my God, Harry did what? You got in there? That's so cool. How'd you do it? Cedric, what? Excuse me? Yeah, it would feel like Cedric was the imposter all of a sudden.
It definitely would.
Yeah.
Yep. That would. I mean, this has worked out. The order works out exceptionally well, not just for Barty Crouch Jr., but also for us for suspense reasons.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if his name came out first, I feel like Dumbledore would have been like, wait, hold on, something's wrong with the goblet. You know?
Yeah.
He was like, man.
Let me. Did you turn it off and turn it back on
hold
again?
On. Yeah. Can we replug it back in?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see here. So Dumbledore is basically saying, like, I'm sure I can count on all of you, including the remaining students from Beauxbaton and Durmstrang, to give your champions every ounce of support you can muster. But also cheating is not permitted. So none of that.
None of that. By cheering your champion on, you will contribute in a very real... And then it gets cut off. I like that what he's even saying, though, is just that even your support is truly helpful to the other students.
True.
Yes.
True.
And it would have been very interesting because, like, if Cedric had only been in there, like, or if it had been a Slytherin student, I feel like that would have been a really interesting plot line where, like, the rest of the school has to be, like, supporting a Slytherin character.
True.
Yeah. Or, like, could Harry possibly root for a Slytherin? Doesn't feel like it.
Doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
I know. This is why Ginny needed to be a Slytherin. We needed a likable Slytherin character.
Yeah.
Other than Slughorn.
Yeah, boy, that'd be crazy. Ginny's in Slytherin and her name comes out of the Goblet of Fire.
Ooh.
I asked an older student to put my name in for me. I can't believe no one thought of that.
Yes, that would feel so Ginny coded compared to Fred and George, who are like, wow, we totally overthought it. Well done, Geneva.
That would be exactly what it is. It'd be like, yeah, that I could totally see that. Like they put it in and you're like, Fred and George didn't get it. But then she puts it in and she's like, I just asked one of the older students to do it. And they were like, oh my God, that's so smart.
Yes. Because really it's only Ron that they're going to pick on because they like Ginny's just, so cool.
Right. Yeah. She's cool. She's like a little sister. You got to defend your little sister.
Exactly.
Your little brother.
Wait.
Yeah.
That's me. Okay. But the fire in the goblet had just turned red again. Sparks were flying out of it. A long flame shot suddenly into the air and borne upon it another piece of parchment. Automatically, it seemed, Dumbledore reached out a long hand and seized the parchment. He held out and stared at the name written upon it. There was a long pause. Harry Potter!
And that is the end of the chapter, which, man, even when I read it now, like, it gives me chills. It's such a great, like, oh my God, what?
I know. It's
like, you really don't, I mean, of course, you probably have to assume it's going to happen. But I remember the first time I was like, oh, what? Like, it really got me.
It's good. It's good.
You're like, no way.
Yep. It's a great cliffhanger. But yeah, that brings us to the end of chapter 16. But Jay, before we close off for the evening, do you have a review for us?
I suppose that I do have a review for us, Ben. It comes from Sasscast21.
Sasscast21.
She says, Is Snape being nasty part of Dumbledore's big plan? Hey, brother, I absolutely love the podcast and SCP channel. Definitely two of my favorite things to watch or listen to at work. I love the deep dives into the little details of the story. I feel like it brings so much life to it. I had a thought while listening. What if Snape is so mean because Voldemort needs to believe he never switched sides even after he fell? Dumbledore knew Voldemort returned, so it's possible he asked Snape to act like a Death Eater would still, though probably didn't realize how far he would take it. I just think that Snape cares about the students much more than he lets on, and after being bullied for his high school career, would he really subject 75% of the students to the same? Might just me be being hopeful, but I kind of like it.
No, I mean, I wish that we could find a good reason or more information that like would allude to such a detail, like, or even if like in the Prince's Tale there was an aside where it's like he can't believe that you like him or that you're like, you know.
Yeah,
like
he's pretty rude to Dumbledore about Harry too.
He is, yes, because he's kind of got that line. What is he? I'm trying to think. Maybe it's
arrogant, just like his father.
Yes,
yeah.
It's
like the other teachers report him as kind and curious.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yes. So it seems like even behind closed doors, Snape is not thinking of Harry in the most positive light. And then I also feel like his hatred of Neville is also attached to the situation, because if Neville had just been the chosen one instead of Harry, then Lily would be fine.
Right.
So I think it's also possible that like a huge part of the reason that like Neville gets so much of it is because not only does he not play a critical and important role in the eventual downfall of Voldemort. I mean, he does. He obviously does. But like he prophetically is not involved in that piece of the story.
Right.
And Snape knows the prophecy because that's obviously where it originally came from. So he knows that Harry will be of importance. Neville just ended up being somebody who could have basically spared Snape what he loved the most.
But then there's like the way he treats Hermione so often.
Also true.
Which is also terrible and has like no connection to anything. And you'd think if anyone he was going to treat nicer, it would be the Muggle-born Gryffindor students.
Not even the like. I mean, Hermione in so many ways is like a reincarnate of Lily.
Yeah.
I mean, she's friendly and caring towards people, and she's incredibly smart, and she's Muggle-born, and yeah, like
how does he think he is like making Lily proud by treating the Muggle-born girls poorly?
Yes, all you can say is that it just speaks to like, you know, how terrible his experience was in such a way that like he almost like ended up seeking a vengeance or like leveling the score 2 decades later rather than, I don't know, like
settling the score. How?
Like almost as if I've been made to feel small. So the way that will make me feel big is by making others feel small.
I guess. I mean,
it's not good.
It's not good. Yeah.
I mean,
and you're probably right. That's probably a huge part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think stories like that can often go both directions. You know, like I think that there's certainly a degree of like either you experience this. It reminds me a lot of like the way I felt during my JV soccer days when I was in high school, where it was like my whole sentiment was that I did not like the way that the older students were like hard on the younger students, as if this is part of like your process. Like it's the pecking order,
right?
Like they're older, they get to be mean to you. You're the shrimpy freshman,
right,
or whatever. So it was like, then when I got older in sports, I was like, I'm just going to be nice to the freshmen because I didn't like being treated that way,
right? Exactly.
You know. So, but I suppose you could also then be like, this is how the older students handle things. So you're the freshman, you have to carry the water bucket. Like, I don't know. I mean, we're well off of lore at this point. Just speaking more to the way that high school people behave.
Yeah.
So I'm right there with you. Like I desperately wish that we could give Snape a bone or feel as though there was like an excusable reason for his behavior. But I think there's too many instances where it doesn't seem like anybody's watching him.
Yeah, and he's still just being a jerk. So yeah, I think even like in the occlumency lessons, you know, he's not like nicer behind closed doors or anything like that.
How often or how busy do you suppose Dumbledore must be that he stops teaching Harry and somehow this is like never reported?
Oh, that like he doesn't like, that no one tells Dumbledore that Snape stopped teaching him occlumency.
Yeah, like it almost seems like Snape should be like, out, you know, like I'm not teaching you anymore, like this is it. And it almost seems like Harry should get a letter from Snape like a few days later. It's like, Dumbledore says we have to continue.
I know.
Like,
yes, it does seem like that.
Right.
It seems like Snape like absolutely conceals that information from Dumbledore.
Right. So I mean, but then you think about like Moody teaching the unforgivable curses, and it's sort of like this, like Dumbledore wants you to know, and it's like, does he? Does he want us to know?
Right.
Like, is this in fact approved curriculum? How much does Dumbledore know?
Right. We don't know.
We have no idea.
We don't know.
Yeah. He worries about, maybe he's just got bigger fish to fry.
I guess so. But not what the occlumency? Not really.
Occupants. Wow, you're right. I agree with you. That's pretty big fish.
That's like the main fish.
That is the fish.
That's the big fish.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He's been frying that fish for 5 years, man.
Yes. It is very funny, I feel like, because I tended to think in the early days of Super Carlin Brothers that people really, really, really loved Snape. And it was almost like a hot take to think like, guys, are we sure that we love Snape? Like,
yeah.
But I feel like in time, it is just basically people just, you know, they're like.
It does seem like it's ridden a certain kind of wave where you're right. Like when you're reading the books, you're like, nah, it's like, oh, like Snape's not a great guy. And then you get to the end and you're like, oh, he was a great guy. And then you kind of like think that for a while. But like the more you think about it, you're like, he wasn't a great guy.
It's like he's being mean to people so much long after the fact because he liked someone who married someone else and then died because of him, and now he's taking it out on everyone.
Right? Yeah. It's like I think a lot of people finished the books and they were like, "Oh my God, Snape was a good guy," and then they didn't read him again for like 10 years.
A bit, yeah.
Yeah. It's like that was their last memory. It was like, "Oh, Snape was a good guy," but then when you read it again, you're like, well,
to be fair, it happens to me with Malfoy all the time. But
yes.
by the time I get to the end, I just want Malfoy to have a redemption arc. But then when I read Chamber, I'm like,
yeah. And you're like, maybe he's better in the next book.
Yeah. No, he's not.
He's not so good. The next book?
Still not.
Still not doing much here.
Yeah. But anyway, I think that does it for today's episode.
I think that is going to do us. Thank you so much, as always, for listening. Make sure you join us next week for Chapter 17, The Four Champions Through the Griffin Door.
Today's episode was edited by Ethan Edghill. Vaishon Brandon does our art. Catherine Stein is our production manager, and the show is hosted by me and Jonathan Carlin.